The night was too quiet. The stars above seemed to watch, cold and distant, as if they knew something terrible was about to happen. In the fields, a man stood with dark thoughts swirling in his mind. His name was Cain, and the shadows clung to him like an omen. Nearby, his younger brother Abel, unaware of the danger, was tending to his flock, humming a tune that seemed to mock the silence. Their lives were simple. Abel loved his sheep, and Cain worked the soil, growing crops. But something had changed. Jealousy had crept into Cain's heart. You could see it in the way his eyes narrowed whenever he looked at Abel. It all started when they brought their offerings to God. Cain brought of the fruits of the ground as an offering unto the Lord, and Abel also brought of the firstling of his flock, and of the fat thereof. But Cain's offering from his harvest was rejected. Genesis 4 verses 3 to 5. The look on Cain's face, it was as if something inside him broke that day. Bitterness festered deep within him. The Lord said unto him, Cain, why are you angry? Why is your face downcast? If you do what is right, will you not be accepted? But if you do not do what is right, sin is crouching at your door. It desires to have you, but you must rule over it. Genesis 4 verses 6 to 7. But Cain didn't listen. His heart was already consumed by hatred. Then the night came, the night I'll never forget. Cain approached Abel in the field. At first, it seemed innocent. He spoke softly to his brother, luring him away from the flock. Abel, trusting and kind-heartedly, followed without suspicion. But then, the horror began. Cain, heart full of bitterness, Cain struck Abel. The blow was swift and brutal. Abel crumpled to the ground, his life spilling into the earth. I could feel the ground itself tremble, as if the very soil was mourning. For a moment, there was silence. The stars still watched, but now they seemed colder, crueler. Cain stood and watched Abel's lifeless body, his chest heaving. He looked around as if expecting someone to stop him, but there was no one. Then God spoke again. His voice was heavy with disappointment. Cain, where is your brother Abel? I don't know, Cain replied, his voice shaky, yet defiant. Am I my brother's keeper? But God knew. What have you done? Listen, your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. Now you are cursed and driven from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood. When you work the ground, it will no longer yield its crops for you. You will be a restless wanderer on the earth. Genesis 4 verses 9 to 12. Cain, now realizing the weight of his crime, cried out, My punishment is more than I can bear. Anyone who finds me will kill me. But God, in his mercy, placed a mark on Cain to protect him, saying, Anyone who kills Cain will suffer vengeance 7 times over. And so, Cain became a wanderer, forever marked by his crime. The ground he once worked would no longer provide for him. His brother's blood would haunt him for the rest of his days. As Cain disappeared into the shadows, I couldn't help but wonder what would become of humanity. The first murder had been committed, and the earth itself had tasted innocent blood. What Cain had done would ripple through generations. Hatred, jealousy, and violence would plague humanity, just as it had plagued Cain's heart. The world would never be the same again. But through it all, God's love remains.